good evening and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Emmet. This is Viewer's Voice, and with me tonight is Gav, Matt, and Ron. How are you, Gav?
I'm good. I'm still recovering from last night, I'm going to be honest. I just can't stop thinking about Argentinian players from the Premier League and how one man on this planet could knock it away from Javier Mascherano. I have to give a shout out to Peter Jones from last night because I had so much fun making that podcast last night. And they're hard to make, they're hard to engage for people when it's drafts and it's not as interactive, I suppose, as other shows. And I tried to be as interactive by reading out a lot of comments last night, but I had so much fun making it. And then I literally edited it, laughed through the edit, and then literally listened back to it at about 1 o'clock this morning, which was it was fucking fantastic. Anyone that hasn't listened to it, go back and listen. It's an hour and 15 minutes, but we talk about all sorts of geography, game shows,
stalactites.
Yeah, game shows, and then Peter Jones just get ties himself in. He tied himself in more knots than you'd see in a harbour, and it was so good, so good. So I'm in great form.
And Kev insulting all Eastern Europeans that listen in.
Yeah, Kev.
That's the same.
Kev literally wasn't very good at geography and just decided that anything kind of east of the United Kingdom is basically one country. They're all just the one thing. They're all stuck together. It's literally like telling all of America, Canada, Central America, South America, that they're all just one country. You're all together, stuck together. But yeah, that was the crack as well.
Yeah, no, excellent. It was an excellent listen. I watched it back this morning in work. I'm just glad I hadn't to be on any meetings or calls. I was absolutely in ribbons laughing.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Matt, did you watch it back?
I listened to it when I was out walking this morning at work, and it was amazing. I can't believe that out of all the things geography, Peter Jones comes out with Oxbow Lakes.
Yeah, Oxbow Lakes.
Yeah, I was a belter.
And then he was talking about greenbelt lands. It was so good.
It's a slightly different geography lesson you get in Ireland, I guess. That was, and Benelux countries. So that was good. That was a way too friendly of a draft, though. It was the first drafts.
It was the first one of the summer, and I thought it was going easy on the lads, and it didn't turn out really that easy. But I think it might be Keith's turn to host next week, so I'm sure he'll get me back next week. We'll probably do one next Wednesday.
Stuff. And Ron, we haven't spoken to you in a couple of weeks. How are you keeping, pal?
Doing pretty good. Thankfully, it's been kind of quiet over here. Finally, somebody decided to turn off the oven that we were encased in for a while, so life's been good.
We were just talking about just before we came on. What did you say it was, Matt? 45 degrees?
Yeah, 45 with the humidity yesterday. Today it's 24.
It's only about 24 here today, and I'm struggling big time. So, look, we'll move on anyway. So, look, this is Viewer's Voice. We look at pick a handful of topics each week, and we give our opinions on them, basically. Something that we've never spoken about before is Mo Salah's contract. So it might be nice to start off with that. In fact, we probably put more pins in it than pin the tail on the donkey at this stage. You probably wouldn't even be able to make out his contract. There's that many pinholes in his contract. But look, it's rumbling on. I'm sick of reading about it. I've kind of made my peace with it. I think there's a few people that we know have probably made their peace with it that next year he's literally gone. I read an article today about his commercial value to the club, image rights, all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking, it is kind of, to me, it's scaremongering. And I'll come to you first, Gav. We'll surely just go out and make the next Mo Salah now.
Yeah, maybe we might have to. His numbers are ridiculous. His numbers are actually ridiculous, and when you think he signed for 34 million quid, I think, in the summer of 2017, and was viewed as a backup to the front three of Firmino, Mane, and Coutinho at the time. He comes in, hits the ground running, misses some chances in his 4 seasons, misses quite a few. but I think he ends up with 44 goals in his 4 seasons, doesn't he? So, you know, he's been absolutely incredible for Liverpool. On the contract, I think it's I think we don't know the numbers. That's the key thing for me. When you don't know the numbers, you kind of say to yourself, right, you know, you have to take stuff for a pinch of salt a little bit. Even like Mane at the moment, you know, Mane's come out and said he just wanted a new challenge. I think he said that today or yesterday, and that's fair enough. That kind of puts the, what do we offer him to bed? It might have been a case of he had it in his mind he wanted something else, and he moves on. It's different with Salah. If you're a betting man, he goes next summer, because when you look at Liverpool coming out quite clearly, Jurgen Klopp in particular, and saying, you know, every player that has a year left on his deal has been offered a contract by Liverpool, or maybe some haven't, but anyone that has a year left on their deal, and you know, we're in negotiations, the deal is on the table. That would probably be the case for Mane. It probably would have been the case for it is the case for Salah. We don't know on Katie yet, though. There's rumours, isn't there, that he could be close to signing a new deal. You look at Firmino, nothing's being said on that. He probably has a contract in front of him. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think, is in the same position, but nothing's really being said on that. Most of the talk around him is, will he stay or go? And by the way, I seen a great tweet from Rory Fitzgerald that watches this channel, just breaking down when his last minutes were in the league and stuff like that. And you know something, if you're to put a percentage on it, I think he's probably 95% likely to leave. Now, I could be completely wrong. He could sign a deal in tomorrow, you know, the sort of way. But when you look at Liverpool being open and saying that the deal is on the table, I think they've drawn their line in the sand. I think the stuff that's gone through the media via what you would believe is, you know, representatives of Mohammed Salah with regards to their reaction to what deal is on the table, I think it'd be a huge climb down for them to turn around and sign that deal. So I think they've both drawn lines in the sand, and I can't see them getting any closer to each other unless there's a major climb down from one side or the other. And I think at the moment I just can't see it, and that's why I said a couple of weeks ago something could happen on him where he moves in this summer, where they just go, look, this isn't going to happen. We're not. He's a brilliant player, and I want him to stay at Liverpool. I want him to sign the deal, no matter how they get it done. And that's not me telling you that Mo Salah should accept like an extra grand a week on what he has now, or Liverpool paying 400 grand. I'd like them to find something where they're both happy. But just looking at it now, I think he will go at the end of the summer or at the end of the season. And the only reason I think something might happen in the summer is that they just say, look, we don't want all the baggage on this for a year. It could distract players, you know, the club itself. It could overtake what the club are trying to do on the field, and they might look to bring a resolution that way. But if, as I said, if it was me and I was putting a bet on it, I think Mo Salah does leave at the end of the season.
Yeah, I was probably a little bit blunt with the way I said that, how so nonchalant that we'll just make another Salah. Probably the point I was trying to make is he wasn't this global brand. He wasn't this world superstar before coming to Liverpool. Now, obviously, he has his abilities, and I'll miss him as much as the next person. I absolutely love him. But Matt, on what Gav actually says there, is Salah sticking around with all of the palaver that comes with it? Every press conference asking about contracts. Would we be better if an offer comes in? Would we be better taking the money, or do we let him see out the last 12 months of his contract?
Well, up until last week, when Gav kind of floated the idea of maybe even Salah moving this summer, you know, if an offer comes along, and I thought that was silly, but you know, using the Keith Plunkett logic of if we had the money for Tchouameni and then we bought a forward, we obviously had money to spend on a midfielder. Well, the same is true for Real Madrid. They had 200 million lined up for Mbappe, and then they signed Tchouameni. So does that mean they're not in for a forward anymore? And that, it made me think for the first time of like, oh shit, he could actually go this summer, because I'm still of the belief, probably completely blinkered, and definitely for my own interest, that he'll resign. I think he'll resign. I don't think that there's if it's just the base wage per week and the control of his image rights and stuff like that. But I think for his legacy, I think for his status as a global superstar, you don't measure that on how much money a player made. You know, we don't stack that up as the measuring stick for how great you are once you decide to finally hang up the boots. I just think that the best spot for Mo Salah is to stay at Liverpool. I personally, when this was all going on last season, I was of the mind of, we can't give him the huge wages that he wants, so give him another 2 years. Because to me, Mo Salah looks like he could play well past 34, 35, 36. So give him a 6-year contract and let him guarantee, you know, a certain level of earning. It might not be as much as he could get for the next 2 years, but, you know, guarantee for the next 6 years that you're going to get 230 grand a week sort of thing. That would be my mind of it. But I still think the team has to keep him. His goals are too important to lose going into this season. Both him and Mane in one summer would be way too many goals taken out of this team.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. But that's where I'm kind of torn because, and it's purely like selfish reasons. I don't want to have to listen to it for another 12 months. But Ron, on something that Matt said there as well, there's so many examples of players that have gone before him that have left for whatever reason, and they just don't make it, or they're not able to refine the form that they had whilst playing with Liverpool. Do you think that would be a worry with Salah moving away?
I'd like it to be, although I don't know that it would be true. I mean, if you look at the most likely destinations, I mean, you know, Bayern Munich is now off that list. At PSG, he probably would be fine, you know, given he'd be able to kick his feet up in the French league for most of the season. Real Madrid, it may work. There's some rejigging that they'd have to do to kind of see that. But the biggest thing is, I think that would have to come into that calculus of whether he'd do well somewhere else is, you know, as good as he is, what got the whole ball rolling is the fact that he played in a system and with a trio that were designed to get the best out of him. I don't know that Real Madrid is going to set up with the idea of let's get the best out of Mo Salah. It's going to be, you know, put the best players money can buy up front and see what they do. Which is same thing PSG would be, and we all see how that turned out. So, you know, I don't know if he's thinking about that. I would hope he is, because you got to remember, you know, yeah, we just signed Nunez. Yeah, Luis Diaz is electric, and we all love how he's hit the ground running. But our attack, you know, Mo Salah is the spearhead of the attack at Liverpool. It's our system from the time he got the ball rolling has been designed to get the best out of him and his skill set. You know, to the point where we took, you know, an up-and-coming world-class player that had already been proven for us in Sadio Mane, took him off his favorite right side, switched him to the left to accommodate Mo Salah. So, you know, that would be the one thing if I were him that would be, you know, giving me a bit of pause before I signaled so heavily that I wanted to jump ship.
Just on Gav, on Matt said there, so legacy, and just from reading him into Salah and kind of, I think to him his legacy is a big thing for himself. How much of his legacy is he risking by making a move away?
Not much. No, that's me talking. That's not. I'm not speaking for a fan base. I never do. But you know, I think if Salah turned around now and said he wanted to leave Liverpool, all right, I think it would do some damage to his legacy. You know, because we know there's a contract situation going on. He said he will be here next season, and you know he's never I don't think he's ever going to lie about stuff he said before. Or, someone might pop something out of somewhere, but he kind of come out fairly strong before the Champions League final. Said, "No, I'll be here next season. I'm here next season. That's it." So if it comes down to it, and he goes to the end of the season, they don't agree to the contract, and he's free to leave, and he leaves, I don't think he ruins any of his. He wouldn't ruin any of his legacy with me anyway, because I just look at it as somebody that's looking for something, can't get it. All right, or probably look. It could be someone looking for too much and can't get it. Could be someone looking for something reasonable and can't get it. And he will go away 6 seasons then at Liverpool, would it be? And he could be close if he does another season like he's done over the last few. How many goals he got for Liverpool? 150 odd goals, is he?
Yeah,
60 odd goals. I'm sure you could look it up. But he could end up going. I think he has about that. I think he's ridiculous amount of goal involvement anyway. But he could go at the end of this season being close to 200 goals for Liverpool, and we always try to, I suppose, take sides, and someone has to be absolutely right and somebody has to be absolutely wrong in every single football situation that we come across right now. And sometimes you just look at it and go, they're just not on the same page. And that happens in life, in work, in sport, wherever it might be. And it goes, and he goes. And if he goes after honouring his contract, you can't really say much against him, Now, I'm not. It could come out then. Like I keep saying about these numbers, it could come out at the back end of next season or this season, and it was like he wanted 500 grand a week, and then you go, well, hold on, like, what I mean? We're never getting there. Do you know what I mean? But the numbers are crucial. But for me, if this contract runs down and both sides can't find a resolution to it, I don't know if any. You can apportion blame to people if you want, but Mo Salah would have still honoured his contract at Liverpool that he signed and played right up to the end of that contract. So I can't see why people would have a go at Mo Salah and his legacy.
Not even necessarily with Liverpool fans. So
Kieran makes a great point. Sorry, he says it depends for him, and he's probably right here. He said if he goes to City, Chelsea, or Newcastle, he's in the bin for me. That's what could hurt him. If he runs down a contract and turns up at City or Newcastle because they're offering extortionate amount of money, that's where you kind of go, right, he's honoured his contract, but look where he's going. I think if he went off to PSG or Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich or Juventus or one of the Milans or, whatever it might be, and I know I'm mentioning names there that mightn't be able to afford them, but I'm just saying if he went off onto the continent, I suppose, and played 3 or 4 years there before he hung up his boot, you kind of go, fine, it's a different challenge, But staying in the Premier League isn't a different challenge. It's just the same challenge with more money. And he's every right to look for that money, by the way. He's every right to look for it. Liverpool have every right to protect their asset as well and their kind of structure. But I kind of agree with Kieran. If he stayed in the Premier League, there would be a little bit of a sour taste. But overall, he would have still honoured his contract at Liverpool, not broken it, and played right up until the last day of that contract. So legacy will be absolutely fine for me.
I think in terms of, I think he is on record as saying that he wants to be the best in the world, Ballon d'Or, that kind of stuff. That was maybe more so what I was kind of leaning towards. Does he stand more of a chance reaching that kind of a goal, staying with us, or does he have more of a chance? Like if he moves away, Matt, we have seen in the past that form can completely drop off a cliff. Does moving in terms of his Ballon d'Or hopes affect him?
Maybe. I mean, recent history has shown that it's easiest to win a Ballon d'Or if you play for Barcelona or Real Madrid. That's just kind of been the reality of the Ballon d'Or. Oh, I don't know if you guys are frozen here or what.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good? Okay. My screen's all frozen up. Maybe it's just Emmet. It's in terms of his legacy, like what Gav was saying there, like even if he went to Newcastle, which, that would make sense. That seems to be a club that could afford him. Man City could afford him. I don't think it hurts his legacy. I think it hurts how people feel about him in the short term. To me, legacy is long term. To me, legacy is 25 years down the road when somebody's doing an all-time Liverpool 11 draft, and it's not even a question that your first forward going in is Mo Salah. And I just don't think he's got enough time to go anywhere else and have the same amount of impact that he's already started to build up here at Liverpool. So in terms of his legacy, which is so he might not win a Ballon d'Or if he stays at Liverpool, but he might go down as one of the 3 best players that Liverpool Football Club has ever had. And we are one of the biggest football clubs in the world, and that is legacy. If he moves to Real Madrid, he'll never catch Raul, Benzema, Ronaldo, Gareth Bale. He won't catch their trophy numbers because that's all he'll be able to accumulate at that point is stacking up Spanish leagues and Spanish cups. PSG is a club that doesn't have legacy. It doesn't have history. It hasn't won a European Cup. So I mean, he could go there and found that, but it wouldn't be the same legacy as going down as one of the great, all-time great players for one of the all-time biggest clubs in the world.
I think there's probably an argument, Matt, to say that even if he leaves this summer, he's probably in our top, won't say 3, 5 players of all time. Would you agree, Ron?
So think if he stays for another 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, if you're putting him at that level already.
Yeah. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think on the legacy piece, I mean, if he stays at Liverpool and he keeps the consistency that we've seen, I mean, he doesn't have a chance of just being one of Liverpool's top 3 players of all time. He has being a Premier League all-time great because he's one of the few people with a shout to get even close to Shearer. So I mean, I'm not saying he's going to catch him, but he can get pretty close over the next few years, keeping this level of consistency, which is amazing. So I think that legacy is part of it, and also I think, while his chances of being considered for the Ballon d'Or and having a shot at winning it might be better at Barcelona or Real Madrid, there's no guarantee. That's the thing. He could go to Barcelona and Real Madrid, have a stellar season, and it still goes to Benzema for whatever reason. There's no guarantee in doing that. So, you're well on your way at Liverpool to creating a legacy that generation that's a generational legacy. And most players who even have the aspiration to be that good never even come close to it. So why jump off that ship now?
Can I just say, Sony Kang put in here, he said, Gav, wasn't your original belief that Salah leaving would be a bad luck, detrimental for FSG and the fans' eyes? Do you not think that's the case now? Just listen, I don't want Mo Salah to leave Liverpool Football Club, right? And I probably would question if he goes, did he do enough? You'll always question that. When I made that comment about Mo Salah, he was absolutely flying. There was nothing out in the media. It was very, very quiet. It looked like it was being done behind closed doors in private, and everyone was hoping that it'd be done. And I still want it done. I'd hazard a guess that they will make him the highest paid player at the club ever. Right, I would hazard that guess. I don't know if it just goes high enough for him. I think what's done for Salah, not so much Salah, but other stuff that's gone on in the media, has been these little kind of digs and stuff dropped with certain journalists and stuff like that to put out there. That he's not happy with this and that, and there's no way we'd be signing this and no way we'd be signing that. I think that's hurt him a little bit in some fans' eyes, and in the media's eyes, I think they kind of hooked onto that. I love when the deal is done behind closed doors and you don't hear anything about it. FSG will most definitely get criticism if Salah walks out at the end of the season. There's no doubt about it. And do they deserve some criticism? Maybe, yeah. Maybe. But I keep going back to it. If FSG come out at the end of the season and say we offered him 350 grand a week and he said no, you kind of go, what more did he want to do? Because I think we're in that squad. I don't know how much Virgil van Dijk's on. 220 grand a week probably, right? I think it's fairly acceptable amongst the players, the squad itself, to go, Salah probably deserves $250,000 a week, base, and then he could earn up another whatever on top of that. or a little bit higher than that. I'm sure there's numbers in players' heads where they go, he probably deserves it. Like, he's scoring a ridiculous amount of goals, assists. He's unbelievable. But at the same time, they can only go so high, because I'm sure if they thought they could, they'd probably pay Mo Salah extortionate money. It's extortionate anyway, but extortionate money. But I think there's definitely a balance where they have to go, how high do we go before Virgil van Dijk goes, hold on, I'm alright with 30 or 40 grand a week more than me, but hold on, 100 grand a week more than me, you know, like he's literally he's getting, 50% more, of my wages. Then, I think it's a very hard balancing act, and that's not me telling you that FSG are doing it absolutely perfect. They might be stubborn, but the truth of it will only come out if you actually hear hard numbers, and sometimes you don't hear that. But I'd love to see, even if you gave me 15, 20 grand either side of the real number, I'd love to see it, just to see where it kind of lies, and that's why I think it won't happen, because I think there might be a limit that FSG have gone to, and Salah has a minimum, and the minimum just does not meet that limit, and they'll part ways.
Well, look, talking about I'm sure that this one's going to rumble on for a while anyway, and I'm sure we'll probably speak about it again. But speaking on parting ways, so this week we obviously lost Sadio Mane and also Taki Minamino to Bayern and Monaco respectively. And we've seen a few players go out on loan. We've got Billy Cometio going to Austria. Adam Lewis is gone out on loan. We have a Polish goalkeeper going out on loan. I won't embarrass myself by trying to pronounce his name.
Good move.
Gav, do you see any more players leaving, or is there anybody is there anybody that's not left yet that you probably would have thought would have been gone?
You've seen Calvin Ramsey come in, and I think it's pretty clear he's going to be the first choice backup to Trent. Young Bradley has gone to Bolton on loan, and Nico Williams has been linked with Fulham, Forest. There's a good few teams, isn't there, that have been linked with Nico Williams. I think the price there is 15 million. And I like Nico Williams. There's no point comparing him to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like that fella's just ridiculous, the sort of way, and all this he can't defend stuff is an absolute myth. But what he does going forward defensively, he's absolutely fine for a fullback. Like, I think when it comes to Trent, you're expecting him to be as good defending as he is going forward. And the funny thing is, he's good defensively. It's just going forward, he's ridiculous. And you haven't really seen. I can't remember the last time I've seen a fullback like that. That's that good, like that good going forward, where you actually start to question him defensively, because he's not absolutely pitch perfect defensively. Nobody's pitch perfect defensively. But when you look at this Calvin Ramsey lad coming in, I've only seen what most people have seen, snippets, 1 and 2 minute videos here and there. But what you can see, he's big, he's aggressive, he's good on the ball, he's decent pace, he's taking all the free kicks and he's taking all the corners up at Aberdeen as a really young fullback. And I think the fact that Bradley's gone to loan, Fulham and Liverpool are courting bids for Nico Williams, I think that shows. So Nico Williams will go, and I think he'll do a really good job for somebody in the Premier League, because I think he's really solid defensively. I really do. I like Nico Williams defensively. He can get caught at times, don't get me wrong. He gets absolutely murdered away at Brighton. I think we win the league and he plays against Brighton, and he's murdered by Lamptey on the night. He's playing left back, but overall, if you see him, especially for Wales, really good defensively. He's very direct going forward, likes to bomb forward. He's kind of an old school fullback in that sense, that he's very direct going forward. Just likes to get his head down, motor, and get balls in the box. So I wish him all the best, because I think he will do a good job in the Premier League, most definitely. Minamino's gone, Origi's gone, Mane's gone. I still think Oxlade-Chamberlain lives. I just don't see where they fit him in. I really don't. Like, I keep saying 7 midfielders, and then someone said, no, it's 8. And I was kind of going, hold on, is it 8? And I keep naming all the, and it is 8, isn't it? It's like it's Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago is 3, Milner's 4, Kate is 5, you've got Jones, Elliott, is that?
Carvalho,
And
Ox.
and Ox would make it 8. So he's 7 players kind of in front of him. And I've been telling myself if Ox leaves, they'll bring somebody in. And I'm actually starting to wonder if Ox leaves, do they? Because you're still left with 7. And I think he will go. I think he's 1 year left on his deal. I can't see him getting back into this Liverpool side unless something catastrophic happens. With regards to injuries. And, people love the worst case scenarios of what if these 5 get injured at the same time? Will these fellas win a league game for you? And you're kind of going, well, take 5 out of City team. Will they win a league game for you? Take them out of United, take them out of Arsenal, Chelsea, whoever it is. Billy Cometio's gone on loan, and I think the loans are interesting. Adam Lewis has gone on loan as well. I think they're interesting because you'd be looking at them going, they might hold on to them, League Cup coming up and stuff like that. But they're not. They're letting a few go on loan. First team wise, I think you'll see Nico go. You'll see. I think you will see Oxlade-Chamberlain go. After that, I don't really see anything moving after that.
There's rumours Rhys Williams is going to be going on loan as well. Does that mean we keep hold of Phillips? Because there were rumours of Phillips staying. Man, what do you think? If Billy Cometio is gone, Rhys Williams gone, does it mean Nat Phillips is staying?
Well, I mean, Klopp and co have shown that they're willing to go into a season with a surprisingly few number of center halves before, and we know how that worked out. But just the 4 seems too few. I'm not entirely sure. A name that I haven't heard really anybody talk about is Vandenberg. He's had a couple of good loan spells out at Preston North End. He's part of my go back a couple of weeks of 3 at the back. Vandenberg's been practicing it for a couple of years.
He's playing right back for Preston.
Yeah, they love him.
He was playing right back for Preston.
Yeah. Well, shit. We wasted this money on Calvin Ramsey. We had a ready-made 6'5" Dutch Trent replacement out on loan. I would be blown away if both Oxlade-Chamberlain and Phillips don't leave before the end of the window. I think Liverpool will accept the cut rate for Chamberlain because he's going to be on pretty decent wages. And I think it might cost you. You might not get 3 or 4 million to what you were asking for originally, but given his pay, I believe he's over 100,000, 110,000, something like that. He was on a pretty good contract when we signed him. So I think the club will want to get him off the books because he will be 8th choice. And that's an awful lot to be paying 8th choice midfielder. And then Nat Phillips, I mean, a lot of people kind of thought he was going to go last year and then thought he was going to go permanently in January, and he's still with the club. If he stays, there's not going to be a lot of Liverpool fans that are upset about that because it's Nat Phillips, the Cruyff turn at the San Siro, legend himself sort of thing. But yeah, I can see those 2 going, and I'm glad that Gav's finally coming around. I don't think there's going to be a midfield signing, even if Oxlade-Chamberlain goes, because the numbers are just there.
Yeah, you were speaking about your 3 at the back. I was speaking about a 2-man midfield, which would, to me, if there is a change, and I know we'll get comments saying nobody's even suggesting that there's going to be a change of formation. He always changes something every year. I think last year was really, the high line was really kind of, they had tried it, but it was really kind of nailed on last year.
And Trent drifting in from the right and taking up central positions last season. Exactly.
So if they go with 2 men, then you're picking 2 from 7 or 2 from 8 if Ox stays.
But then you're picking 4 from 6 up front.
Yeah.
So then
it all depends. We always say this. It all depends on where Carvalho.
Yeah, but like the argument to sign somebody comes back because you'd say, okay, you're picking 4 from 6, right? Even if you put Carvalho in the attacking, right? I think that will only make it 6, right? 4 from 7 even, right? But you don't know where he's going to play, right? So you can throw him into midfield or up front to help your argument. Do you know the sort of way? I think if he went to 4-2-3-1, there's much more of an argument to sign another forward. I think there genuinely is. But Nat Phillips, I think, will go. I think Joe Gomez will sign a new deal, and you'll end up with the 4 that you had there last season, and they're absolutely comfortable with that.
Ron, who do you see leaving?
Honestly, I I don't know. I don't know about Phillips. I don't know that he's going to end up leaving. I think he'll end up staying. I also, contrary to everybody else, I do think Ox is going to end up staying for the simple fact of he's already here, doesn't hurt our quota, and we're probably not going to get the offer we want for him. So as long as he's not kicking out with us, why not let him fill out the roster and let us have enough bodies for the midfield? I mean, I understand on his side, he should want to go. It's probably the best thing for him if he's going to pick up his career. I don't, like Gab, I don't really see him finding his way into the team on a regular basis. But in terms of having the squad depth, there's no need. There's no need to train him. There's no need to teach him on the system. You know, while I would argue we probably should move on, as much as I like Ox, I kind of have a funny suspicion he's going to be here next season. So then that kind of throws the whole seven-man midfield theory up a little bit. As far as a change to a two-man midfield, that does seem rather likely. But like you guys have said repeatedly, it all depends on what is happening with Carvalho. I think he's more likely to be a midfielder than up front, at least where he gets his first minutes. But that remains to be seen.
Kieran Thorne has said there about the quota. He's saying, look, nobody seems to be paying attention to the fact that we don't reach the homegrown criteria again this season. And then people want Ox sold, etc. And then he says he can see Adrian going and he thinks they look to sign Ben Foster, which would help the quota. Red Steve says Ox out, bone in. That's what he'd like to see. I don't know. What do you think, Emmet? Do you think there's room? Just is it? Sometimes it comes way along like the Nat Phillips, where you go, he signed a long-term deal last summer. He went on loan to Bournemouth. He's back now, and we're still sitting there with easily, I think, the best four centre backs as a group in world football.
I personally think, like I said at the start, I think Nat Phillips is going to stay, especially with Billy Comecchio going, Reece Williams going out on loan. Well, rumoured to be going out on loan. Sepp van der Berg supposed to be still staying out on loan again. I know we'll have 4, but we've been burnt in the last couple of seasons. You still have Joe Gomez, who suffered an awful injury. You had Van Dijk that had an awful injury, and then you've got Matip. So really the only one of the 4 who's kind of injury-free would be, touchwood, Konate. So look, I know you can't go into a season and overload on every single area and have a squad of 40 players just in case 5 of them get injured. But from reading certain things, and I think you see Phillips staying. I think Ox.
Does Phillips stay to be the centre back in League Cup games, and you put one of the 4 in with him?
Yeah, I think so. And also, look, everybody will be sick of me saying it. 5 subs next season, you're going to be able to rotate players out. So you get a bit of a head of steam up, you get a lead up, take Van Dijk off. It doesn't necessarily always have to be Gomez coming in for him. It doesn't have to be Matip coming on for him. I think Phillips is a solid old school defender, and I don't think anybody would have any qualms about him coming on to see out a game with 15-20 minutes to go. I think there is game time there for him. I'd have a lot more confidence in Phillips coming on than Reece Williams coming on or Billy Comecchio coming on. I just think whilst we're sitting with 3 centre-halves, again, like I said, touchwood, that have had either a long list of injuries or really bad injuries, that it is probably one area of the pitch I would be willing to kind of pad out a little bit above any other position on the pitch.
Yeah, interesting.
I think one of the things you called Nat Phillips an old school defender. I think that's the biggest thing going against him. Like, you mentioned how much we changed to relying on that high line and the pace of our back line, and that's just, for all of Nat Phillips' amazing, head bandages, against Manchester United. He's not the most fleet of foot center half in the world, and I think that just works against him. And I think there has to be teams out there. I mean, we're going to get into transfers for the rest of the window coming up, but there's a lot of teams that could use a defender. Maybe not top 6 teams looking at Nat Phillips, but Aston Villa would certainly be a better defensive unit if they had Nat Phillips instead of Mings or Konza in there. There's lots of teams where Nat Phillips should go and be able to find Premier League games playing in a system that's more suited to his strengths.
No, 100%. I mean, if we get a big offer for him, or a decent offer, or what we value him for, I would have no problem in selling him. But I just think that with what we're seeing with Reece Williams and all the others going out, that
you'll probably
maybe look at the hold on to him.
You'll probably see Bournemouth make an offer sometime in July. And, he was there with them. He got promoted with them. He done okay by all accounts. But Bournemouth have been quite burned, haven't they, by Liverpool with transfers in the past. But I think you will see bids for Nat Phillips. I see both arguments, to be honest, where you could keep him and say, right, he's going to be used as, League Cup on the bench. But then again, if you're playing, say, Konate and Van Dijk at the back, Matip and Gomez want to be on the bench. And you don't want to see Nat Phillips on there with him. And I know you have 5 subs, but if you have 3 centre-halves in your 9 that you pick, people are going to go, what's going on here? You know what I mean? There's no way you're going to need 3 centre-halves in this game on the bench. So I understand the 5 subs thing, but I think the 5 subs thing is more a case of how you can affect the game more with 5. And as well, I get the rotation stuff, but you're not taking 2 centre-halves and a full-back off to put 3 centre-halves on from the bench simply for rotation. And no matter what game you're playing,
3 at the back, baby. 3 at the back.
A few people in the chat there have said about him going out on loan that he probably won't force team football. Yeah, I think that's fair as well. I can see him going. I can see him. I could probably see him. Do you know what I could see, actually? I could see another season-long loan at Bournemouth. And if they stay up, an obligation to buy.
And do you think we'll be okay with 4?
Yeah.
The 4 that we have?
Yeah. Yeah, I think because, going into that season, you have Van Dijk, who the injury's behind him. It's simply behind him. He's played a full Premier League season. He's played the vast majority of games for Liverpool in a season where he played every game possible. And only at the very end did you see him wane a little bit. That FA Cup final. Was it when he came off? Konate went on? No?
Yeah, no, it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
You seen him wane a little bit there, and he kind of had to be protected a little bit. And that's absolutely fine after being out for 10 months or so. You have Joe Matip, who was around all season, in fairness to him. Konate hasn't shown any sign of breaking down. And Joe Gomez has been, nursed, I suppose, through this season just gone, and will be looking to really get going again. And I actually fancy Joe Gomez to really, really push to get back in beside Virgil van Dijk. I think it's one of those where we looked and went, oh, he's down the pecking order last season. But in fairness, and maybe I even said it, but I was probably wrong, the club probably nursed him through that season and just put him in at different spots and just, being really cautious with him, because it was meant to be a horrific injury he got. We didn't get the full details because Gareth Southgate wouldn't tell us. And overall, Keith, I think the 4 are fine. I think the 4 are fine. I think you can overdo it at times, and I know it comes back to
I'm mentally scared.
2021 season. I know it comes back to that, but that's ridiculous stuff. You know what I mean? If you're planning for ridiculous stuff, we'd be signing 3 more midfielders, and you'd be keeping 2 centre halves, and you'd be signing another left back, and you'd be signing another 3 forwards. You'd be American football roster stuff, just in case. But that's not how it works. And Nat Phillips, I like him. I don't think he's done anything bad for Liverpool. I think he's been really, really good and played a huge part in getting us into the Champions League season before last, as we will call it now. But I think he deserves to find somewhere where Nat Phillips is this team's centre-half. Not Liverpool's on loan at Bournemouth. This team's centre-half. I think the age he's at, how hard he's worked to get where he is, and having the bravery, I suppose, to go down to the Championship and go on loan. Could have went completely wrong for Bournemouth. They could have fell into the playoffs and not got up to the Premier League. I think he deserves it. And I think Liverpool made him, not made him, but Liverpool made him an offer last summer where he could sign a long-term deal. That's lovely stability for him if anything goes wrong, and it was a reward for what he done. But overall, I think Nat Phillips, with that taste of, being first choice centre back, I think it'll be enough for him to go and play his football elsewhere.
And I think he is a Premier League level defender.
I think so.
He does. Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
he goes in.
Well, I always made the argument that if that fella at Brighton, who was at loan at Celtic, and he's terrible, the Irish fella,
Duffy.
if he's playing Premier League football for Brighton, and Graham Potter's telling you he's a Premier League centre half, well, Nat Phillips is. Simple as that.
Good stuff. Let's get on to the rest of the window. So we talked about maybe more people leaving. Do we see? I'll go to you, Ron. Do you see anybody else coming in the window, or do you go with the Twitterati and that's it? We're done and dusted.
I'd like to see someone else come in the window. Kind of as we were saying about the midfield. If anything, I'd like to see more. If we can't get anything, I'd like to see a Fabinho understudy. I think that's an area where we could use another specialist to get groomed up. However, realistically, I just don't see it. I don't see us bringing anybody in unless without a departure. I don't see anyone else coming in. Unfortunately, I think, and to be perfectly honest, I don't like everybody else. I don't speak for the entire fan base, but I am actually quite okay with the squad as currently constructed. It's not perfect. It's not the finished article. There's some things that could be tweaked. Like I said, I'd like to see another midfielder, but if this is what we're going to bat with next season, I'm all for it.
Good stuff. Matt, how about you? Do you see anybody else coming in this window? Or like Ron said, and like a lot of people have said, it maybe only happens if one goes.
I think that's the only chance that we see any more incomings this window. No, I spoke too soon. There is one other option that I'm keeping out there. That's, when Klopp signed his extension and he said that he got the backing from the club for his transfer plans. If they think as highly of Bellingham as we've all been kind of led to believe and are letting ourselves believe, if there's a number, if it's, if we think he's got an 80 million release clause next summer, if it's 110, because Klopp's only got 4 years left. If we wait until next year for Bellingham and it's only 3 years left and the difference was 30 million, maybe that's the backing that, he was kind of talking about. If I want this player now, that's just a pipe dream though. But unless somebody comes in for Mo Salah or somebody comes in with a huge offer for Naby Keita and he's been, waffling over signing a new deal and Liverpool don't like his attitude towards that, that's really the only case where I can see any other players coming in. And I'm very happy with that. Ron, I think we can speak for the whole fan base. I think we should be happy with the makeup of the squad currently.
Oh, God.
Best of luck with that, man.
Well, we should. We should. I'm sorry. Yeah, we were.
I guess
we
we'll
came
have to
as
go
close
first.
to doing the quadruple as anybody's ever done.
I'll stand with you.
Ron is backing away slowly here. Ron's backing away slowly.
No.
Crazy Canadians.
Us Americans and Canadians, we gotta stick together when we're on the other side of the pond. So I'll stand with them. We're gonna have words after this though, but.
Gav, you were all in on similar to what Matt said, that if it's 80 next year, like let's test the waters with 100. And there was a bit of noise around the Bellingham transfer, and it's kind of intimated that we're happy enough to wait until next season. Do you think there's any kind of, or have we been given any kind of reassurances or assurances that that deal is possible? Well, look, it is possible, but have we been given any indication that yes, it's happening next summer, and is that why we've kind of taken a step back from it?
Well, we don't know if we've taken a step back from it.
Yeah,
like Liverpool could literally be working on a deal for Jude Bellingham for this summer. We don't know. A lot of people say there's this. from what I've read, there is an 80 million buyout clause in Jude Bellingham's contract next season. Now, I read loads of stuff every day, and most of what I read, and it just goes over my head. I go, no, not happening. But then you do read stuff from Germany where they've said, look, there's no buyout clause, but there's like an agreement with Borussia Dortmund that this is the number, but I'm willing to stay for another season. Okay? If he was to go now, the number goes out the window. It could be anything. Like Borussia Dortmund could turn around tomorrow and go, we want 150 million. We don't care if it's 80 million next season. This is not next season. This is now. You know, the sort of way. Look, the rest of the window. I'm really happy about Calvin Ramsey. I think he's the right profile to come in and be worked on. I think somebody said there maybe Gomez covering a little bit of right back like he did last season and letting Ramsey bed in. I'm not a fan of Joe Gomez at right back. I never have been. He's a centre back. Play him at centre back or don't play him. You know, and I get he was brilliant away at Newcastle, by the way, at right back. He really was. But I just, the odd game, I'm fine, but just don't get into this habit of, like, I'll put it to this way. If Liverpool lose Trent for 6 games, I would rather see a right back play for 6 games over Milner or Gomez. That's just the way I am. And I think if we're good enough, and we are good enough, we're able to help that player. And if he's coming in that highly rated, he has to play if he's needed. You know, the sort of way. You don't come into the first team squad just for the crack. He's in there for a reason. We're selling Nico Williams. We're sending the other young lad out on loan, so he must be highly, highly rated. So I'm really happy over that one. Centre-backs, absolutely fine. Whatever happens with Vandenberg, Phillips, whoever it might be, fine. But the 4 there, I'm absolutely fine. With left-back, absolutely fine. With midfield, I think I'd like one. I think I would. I think I'd like one. I don't know if it'll happen, but I just... Yeah, I think I would like one. Because I think if you got a really, really good one, not only does it strengthen your midfield, and it gives... You have to remember, Curtis Jones, for me, fell off a bit of a cliff this season. And I'm absolutely fine with it, by the way. I'm not having a go at Curtis Jones. But he'll need... For me, it's a big season for him. And he might be really good for 60% of the season or 70% of the season and drop off a little bit. He's still 21 years of age. I think it's a big season for him. Harvey Elliott's come back off a bad injury, in and out, more out than in, to be honest. And he'll look to have... I don't think it's a huge season for Harvey Elliott. It's one way you'd like to see him progress and maybe appear 25 times for Liverpool. He's still only 18 years of age. So I think I'd really like one in that mould that's really creative. And if it's an absolute banger of a signing, I think it takes actually some pressure off the likes of Darwin Núñez, Diaz, Salah to a certain extent, Jota. I think I'd like to see him, but I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know. And I like it for that reason, and I like it for the forward planning reasons. We're not going to panic ourselves next summer, because regardless of what people say and how much they like the squad, and I do, because I'm going, listen, if the Premier League starts tomorrow, I'm going in thinking Liverpool win it, right? And that's not me being blind faith like I've done for 40 years. I think Liverpool win the Premier League next season, right? Because I think we're good enough to win the Premier League next season. I think we're good enough to win it last season. We got pipped, fine. But I just... The forward planning thing, I think, is the one in my head where I don't want to get to next season when you are going to lose Ox if he doesn't go this summer. You are going to lose Milner, right? I think you'd see a reduced Henderson from next season. That's just my opinion, right? You have Keita, who could be gone if he doesn't sign a new deal. There's lots there, and that's not worst case scenario like I mentioned earlier in injuries. That's fact. That's fact if nothing happens with them. And then you are left with a Curtis Jones that's still finding his way, in my opinion. And Harvey Elliott is still 18 years, he'd be probably 19 years of age come that time. So I think the whole forward planning thing is probably the biggest thing in my mind when it comes to a midfielder. But also the fact that just another good player, I'm all over it. Get 2 of them, actually, just get 2 of them.
Do you think that Jones, so obviously he wasn't as good as he has been or as he has shown, but I think it's been spoken about on this podcast before that I think maybe with Jones that Klopp maybe pulled him back from the first team a little bit and maybe tried to change his game, because what we'd seen previously was a marauding midfielder and shooting on sight nearly. And I know we've said that we kind of nearly need that, but that probably wasn't when Jones was at his best. But then when we saw him towards the end of the season, he was a little bit more controlled on the ball, wasn't as frantic with passing the ball. Do you think it's a mixture of falling off a cliff, or do you think he kind of regressed slightly, but was it down to maybe a change in the style of play for the player himself? We'll go to Ron.
I think it was both. I do think Klopp has tried to get Jones to become more of a utility midfielder as opposed to what he was before, which is a lot more attack-minded. Because he's not going to lose his ability to retain the ball. He's very good at that, even in tight spaces under pressure. He's really good at that. That didn't change, but it felt a little bit like when he would try to go forward and express himself, he would get carried away a little bit, taking shots from distance, which the team could use, but it's the timing of when you do it, and he hadn't got that figured out quite yet. I mean, he's a young player, so it's not a knock against him. It's something that's going to come, but I think Klopp is trying to, if I'm peering into his head a little bit, is trying to get him to understand, you need to nail down these basic bits of the game in this system first, and then go forward and do that and do those kind of things in a sort of way. So you've got your bases covered, you're performing your role in the team, and once you've perfected that, now you'll be better at timing, your runs forward and when to take a shot, when to keep the ball. You'll be better at that once you've got the basics, perfected. So I think that's kind of what was going on this season for Curtis, which is why I think we'll see a lot more appealing version of Jones next season.
Yeah, I think Bejan says there that Klopp put a leash on him and asked him to be more of a Genie style player. That's kind of. I kind of had a feeling that was I think he kind of took Elliott away as well. I think he went and played a few games in the 23s. And it's, I suppose, like, you keep these lads grounded as well. Just one more rumour that I wanted to talk about, because we've mentioned Keita and possibly not signing a deal or signing a deal. There was rumours earlier on in the week. We won't take them obviously as gospel. Rumours never are. But it was Naby Keita and cash for Barella, Matt, from Inter Milan. Do you think there's any legs to that at all?
I mean, it's wild rumor season, so there's probably not any legs. I know there's a few people in the comments that are short in the legs, mentioned earlier. Liverpool doesn't have a great history with Italian players, so that would probably be the only thing that would kind of pickle me on that idea. And I liked Naby's season last year. I really thought the Villarreal second leg, where our entire midfield was so terrible, and it felt like a second coming of Naby getting hooked off in Spain in the Champions League after 35 minutes. And Klopp persevered with him. And the change in the second half, I felt he really came into his own. So I'm willing to stand pat with Naby Keita. And just one word on Curtis Jones, I think we might be getting the cart ahead of the horse, sort of, in terms of, Klopp's trying to put a leash on him. It's entirely possible that after a year and a half of him being with the first team every day, that the coaching staff realized that he wasn't that type of player, that in fact that he's more suited to a Gini Wijnaldum role, that the way that his body's filling out, there was a few times towards the end of the season where he got his body and he shielded the ball, and it reminded me a lot of Gini Wijnaldum, the way that he was able to just stick his ass out and nobody could ever get the ball from him, sort of thing. So I'm wondering if both with Harvey and Curtis is that Klopp and his coaches have taken a look at them and been like, well, these are not the players that we thought they are. And they're actually be better suited, drop Curtis back a little bit and make him a little bit more controlling in the midfield, and drop Harvey back from an attacking role into the midfield. So I don't know. I'm so obviously blinded and blinkered and biased about the whole thing. I believe in this team so much that I'm okay with doing anything. I mean, Burrell is quite a talent, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, look, I'm on record as saying that I actually really like Keita, and I think I think you would have to say that last season was his best season in a Liverpool shirt. So look, long may it continue. But again, we may see a crazy. We may see a crazy. Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I just want to ask everyone straight up or down. You take the deal, or yes or no?
Which Naby?
The Naby Barella deal, yes or no? Take the deal, yes or no?
I would take it. Well, it depends on how much the cash is.
I mean, how much cash is the question?
Yeah.
Plus £1. Well, maybe.
They're not Arsenal. Would you take it, Gav? Naby and cash for Barella, depending on obviously how much the cash is.
If I thought he wasn't signing another deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it solves a lot of problems. It stops a kind of 6 month run where you're waiting for him to get to January and then decide if you sign a pre-contract with somebody else. Barella is very, very, very highly rated. A lot of people in the chat really like him. A lot of people I speak to about football really, really like him. I think he would suit us. And Klopp has come out and said how good a player he is. He was missing for the 2 games against us in the Champions League, and Klopp said it was huge for Inter Milan to be missing him. He felt he was probably their best player. The Naby thing is interesting though. It's he's another one with a year left, and as much as Salah takes the limelight, we genuinely could end up running into January where we go, there's 4 of these here that could just announce tomorrow that they're all gone in the summer, and this is who they're signing for, and you could genuinely have 40 or first 11 that they won't be Liverpool players. You know what I mean? In any given game. So there's going to be all these links. I think someone said earlier though, Barella's recently signed a deal that keeps running into Milan till 2026. Now, every time I look, Inter Milan have loads of money and then they're bankrupt. It's like, I don't know what it is, like they're playing slot machines and they just run out of all that money and then they go up and top up that card and they go back in. And a bit same Milan, though. Milan have been taken over, haven't they, by this Red Ball or whatever they are, or Red Board, I don't know, it's one of them, one of the Reds.
It's AC Milan though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is the Milan clubs are like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Every time I read about Milan club, it's like they're either fucking swimming in money from somewhere or they literally haven't got a pot to piss in. And I don't know where Inter Milan are right now. But having said that, they've taken Romelu Lukaku back for next to no money, but I think they have to pay quite a bit of their wages.
7 million, I think it is.
Yeah, and they're looking to bring in there was someone else, Dybala, they were looking to bring in as well. They still have Lautaro there. I know the other fella, what's his name? The Arsenal fella, sent off against
Dirty
us.
Sanchez.
Yeah, he's great. I like that. He's on the way out apparently. So they're trying to balance a few bucks there to bring Lukaku and Dybala in. So I don't know what way they are financially, Inter Milan. Klopp has name checked them, but we don't know. But Naby Keita, last season done him no harm. No harm whatsoever. And I think, keep saying it, keep Naby Keita on the pitch and he does a really, really good job for you. And he stayed in the pitch the vast majority last season. But he's probably remembered last season for that attempt at goal. And I use that term lightly, or very loosely, in the Champions League final. Because if he stays fit and he probably adds another couple of goals, he's probably the midfielder scored the most goals.
Doesn't score tap-ins, does he?
No. No. So look, you don't know. Like
I'm kind of of the same opinion as you, Gav, but in slightly different. I think that we could do with a midfielder, and I think I've said it that it's the one place that we've not really added to since Thiago. You've got Fabinho, and if again, look, he's had his share of injuries. If he's injured, you've got Henderson. I think you've said yourself that you probably see him playing more of a 6 role. I would just like to see something coming in. Doesn't necessarily need to be a marquee player, but somebody that's coming in that's going to be able to do a job in the midfield if anything happens to Fabinho.
I got a name for it.
Or even Henderson. Yeah, go Matt, yeah.
If it's Sepp van den Berg, I swear to fuck.
He's going to say Fred.
Close, but not quite. Gini Wijnaldum for a year.
Oh. Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
Yeah, he knows the system.
No.
We know what we're going to get out of him. No?
I don't see it. But, PSG are looking to get rid of all sorts, but I don't know why we go back. You know, we didn't give him what he wanted, and he left. Would we give him what he wants now? Do you know? I just don't get me wrong. I love Gino Wijnaldum, but
no, he gets half of what he was on when he was with us.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. He thought the grass was greener on the other side, and now he's going to come back over that bridge to a tin can. And
yeah, but I personally don't see it. I personally, that's nothing against Gino Wijnaldum. I just personally don't see it. For kind of the way he went, and some of the comments attributed to him, it's a bit, and it's nowhere near as much, but it's a bit like Raheem Sterling. I think Raheem Sterling will crawl over hot coal to play with Liverpool tomorrow. But I think he knows to not even gauge that situation because, you know, the club, as much as, you know, they'll make football decisions, they'd make decisions based on reaction as well. And Raheem Sterling just wouldn't happen. And I think with Wijnaldum, I don't know if it was the right time for him to leave, but I think even in that year, I think an awful lot of water's passed under that bridge, and I just can't see him coming back.
Ron, would you have him back?
I don't think it would. No. as much as I love Genie, much as I want him back, much as I was sad about him going.
As much as I want him back, you heard it there, Freudian slip.
I mean, for sentimental reasons, I'd take him back. But really, if we're talking about what's best for Liverpool Football Club, no. I don't see how that helps us in anything we're trying to do going forward. I mean, it's a Band-Aid measure, and unfortunately, it's a Band-Aid that we really don't need. So, no, sadly.
So, Ron, I'm going to stay with you. The window slams shut tomorrow. You're happy enough with the squad we have going into next season?
Yeah, I think we retooled well. I think we've given ourselves some new tools, some new options, and that we can, sort of hit the ground running with. Hopefully, we've got Diaz ready to, further on from last season. I think we're good in midfield. I think we've got an even better, well-drilled defense. The only drawback I have thinking about it, and I know this is a little odd, but if everything stays the same, my only hope is that Klopp decides to use and trust Tsimikas a little more next season. I think we needed to use him a little bit more going down the stretch because towards the end, Robbo's never going to complain, never going to put in less than 110. But you could tell he was starting to get run into the ground a little bit, and it's not. And Tsimikas never did anything wrong. I mean, every performance was a 7 or above. So I just hope he gets trusted a little bit more next season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we probably could have used, and it's been said on here as well, that we probably could have used him a little bit more towards the end of the season because I think Robbo was out on his feet in that Champions League final and he could have been a little bit fresher. Matt, the window slams shut tomorrow. You happy with what we have, or?
I'm happy either which way. I'm presuming in your scenario that means the season's also starting tomorrow. So I am over the fucking moon if the season's starting tomorrow because I'm looking forward to preseason games in Singapore, and I haven't even done the math on what time I'm going to have to get up at to watch those games. But I mean, I've said it before, so there's no going back on it now. I think the team's in great shape. I have the utmost faith in Jurgen Klopp, and I think we're going to win the league next season. I can't imagine being in any other mindset about this team. They make me feel nothing but positive thoughts. So let the window slam shut. Let Everton and Arsenal and Chelsea and Manchester United be left holding the bags that they've left themselves with.
I think Spurs have probably dethroned Everton as the transfer window champions.
Hold on. Everton are on the verge of signing Harry Winks. Fucking relax yourself.
So, Gav, look, I think you've already said a few minutes ago that you're fairly happy and Liverpool are winning the league next year anyway, so there's no real point in asking.
Yeah, I said I believe Liverpool will win the league. There's Mo was in the chat there and he's like, I think you said earlier, we think we win it every season. We only won one. I've seen Liverpool win 4 league titles.
Mo might only be 12, so give him a break.
No, well, no, I haven't. I've seen Liverpool win the league title in 86, 88, 90 and 2020. Yeah, I am happy enough, and I'm always positive going into a season for Liverpool, regardless. I think the fact that Jurgen Klopp has signed that deal, and he has to be happy in what he's doing. I think you know, with signing that deal, he would have had very clear motives for doing it, very clear vision of what he wanted, and hopefully that vision is fulfilled going into this season. Like I said, I'd hope wherever he needs or feel he wants, he gets. My only reservation, I suppose, would be, and look, you can get injuries and stuff. I think it's a big plus that Luis Diaz got 6 months of this club before he starts a full season, and he's getting a full pre-season with Liverpool. I think that's a big plus after losing Mane, because, you know, I think if we lost Mane and Diaz was coming in tomorrow, you'd be going, oh, that's fucking two of them that need to find the ground running or hit the ground running. I think that's a huge plus. Darwin Núñez looks an absolute player, you know, but I think the pressure on him, I don't think it'll be too much, because I think you still have Firmino and Jota that can play right down that middle, no problem. So that's absolutely fine. I'm dying to see Carvalho play for Liverpool. I have a very strong feeling him and Diaz will share left-sided forward responsibilities. That's just my feeling on it. I don't think he will play in midfield. And overall, yeah. But listen, you can always want one more. You know what I mean? That's what football is about. You can always want one more, and, you know, it might happen. It might, but yeah, I'm with Matt. If the window slams shut tomorrow, that means the season's up and running, and I'm all for it, because, like, it's fucking horrible without football. It's horrible without watching Liverpool. So yeah, I'm quite comfortable with it. But I'll be in. That might be a different answer to that in a couple of weeks' time if something happens in the window and we come back and talk about it again.
Good stuff. Right, so that's an hour and 15. Honestly, didn't even see it going by. So just to say thanks to Matt, Ron and Gav for coming on again. Matt and Ron, obviously two parts of the furniture now at this stage. Matt, anything else from yourself? They ask us
on now at this stage.
Yeah. Anything else from yourself, Matt?
Yeah, I just learned yesterday. So our first preseason game of the year, like I said earlier, is the 12th of July. I want everybody to pin their dates in that calendar, because that's also the day that the first images from the James Webb Space Telescope are going to be published. So that is a very big day in the calendar.
What's going on here?
You didn't get up on Christmas morning and watch the James Webb Space Telescope be launched into space, Gav? Are you kidding?
Who is James Webb? And B,
James Webb was...
Telescopes are only in people's houses now as ornaments.
Oh, no. So James Webb was the director of NASA when NASA put a man on the moon. And they've been building this space telescope for like 20 years. It cost them like $10 billion. And they launched this thing on Christmas Day. It is 1 million miles away from Earth. It is a gold foil origami folded up, and it folds out into this giant sunscreen and mirror combination. And if you've seen the pictures from Hubble, this thing is going to fucking blow Hubble away. This is one of the great landmarks in modern astronomy. It's unbelievable. So
Red Steve says July, he knew Matt was a science nerd.
You're goddamn right, Red Steve. It's a huge day.
There's no way I'm getting up to look at something about a telescope with Liverpool are playing the same day. It's just not fucking happening. You know what I mean? If I said to my wife on the 12th of July, listen, we're going to have to clear the afternoon because Liverpool are playing and some fella called James has a telescope and it's a big deal. I don't think it's going to wash. Like, I get away with most stuff in this house, like watching football and playing golf, but telescopes, I think I'm just going to send her over the edge. I really am. But best of luck with
it. Ron, anything else from yourself?
No.
Weird facts or anything else that was launched into space on Christmas Day?
No telescopes, no stalagmites, no stalactites. Don't have any of those either. Although I will be watching the James Webb because I go for that kind of stuff myself. So yeah, I got that pinned as
There
well.
you go.
But
See?
Yeah. I'll tell you.
but no, other than that, just looking forward to what else the rest of the window and seeing and the rest of the content you guys are going to bring.
Good stuff.
Mo says if you don't agree with the status quo around here, you get bullied out of it. Not at all, Mo. You won't be bullied out of anywhere here. You keep putting your comments in there, and people will agree and disagree with them. And yeah, listen, I'm completely I completely agree with you. By the way, you said something earlier about being pissed off about being beaten by Man City. So am I, because they're cheating fucks, and we just have to find a way around it. But Mo, no, you won't be bullied out of anywhere. I wouldn't allow it for a start.
Do you have anything else from you?
Féileacáin, we are €1,715 away from our target. That's the first thing. Link it in the description to donate. You don't need to read about them anymore. Just go into the description, find the donate page, donate, and if you can't, send it across. Like Matt should be sending it all over Canada. Ron should be sending it all over America. I'm not too sure if those telescope.
Are they not about the same place? No?
What?
Are they not about the same place?
More or less the same place. They're stuck together. It's the same thing. But no, listen, we're very, very close. I think we're on 8,285. So that my maths is 1,715 short, something like that. I could be wrong, but someone will tell me if I am.
That was great. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. So yeah, donate, share it as much as you can, because like genuinely we want to get this to 10k because it'd be massive for that charity. And we also want to go and help somebody else as well. And we don't want to put two charities on the channel at the one time because we want to give our full focus on one thing at a time. What day is today? Thursday. Sports Unplugged tomorrow. Fatback 4 on Sunday. I done an In My Life with Peter Jones yesterday. It had nothing to do with Argentinian football. Just be fucking pleased to know. That will be released on Saturday. So you will have... that'll be released as an audio podcast on Saturday. Fatback 4 Sunday. Back into it next Monday. There will be drafts. There will be quizzes. And me and Emma have a big plan for a big quiz where you're going to all get involved. And it's going to be fucking mayhem. And I'm completely up for it, because if it stops Matt talking about fucking telescopes, I'll do anything, to be perfectly honest, at this stage. That's all from me, Emma.
All right. Yeah, Matt's not getting his own show called The Stars at Night or anything like that.
Starry Night, like. Yeah.
Very good.
Well, you should live stream it though, Matt. You should, not on this channel, obviously, but you should live stream you looking at somebody looking into a telescope. Like
no, that's not somebody looking into a telescope. It's a million miles away.
A star. It is a telescope. That's what you called it. It's like a stars watch along. It'd be amazing.
You're picturing Galileo, my friend. We've moved along a
Never heard of him.
400 years.
Never heard of him.
He was an Italian. He played.
Go on, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say he had a deadly right-footed free kick.
Okay, nice.
All right. I didn't know. To be honest with you, I didn't know about the telescope, but I will admit to
Tom Boland says, Peter having a brain fart, and now Matt's a genius. Fuck me, what's next? God knows. God knows.
Right. Well,
thanks, Tom.
We'll leave it there. Thanks, Gav, Matt, and Ron. Thanks to everybody in the chat. My name is Emmet. This has been Viewer Voice, and we'll see you next week.